I'm going to be talking to another amazing guest. This person is one of the pioneers in IELTS in Bukhara. He's the founder of one of the biggest schools here. You probably know the school, it's Millennium. But what you guys may not know is he is one of the co-founders of the Ad Astra school.
I got a chance of meeting two presidents of that time, the former president of Turkey, and the former president, the first president of Uzbekistan. You know what? Before we had a chance to take exams in two universities.
So, like, how old is IELTS in Bukhara? Like, how long has it been around in the city?
The main problem was the publications, the materials, the audio system was not so clear. We had cassettes. Arrogance is the worst thing, which kills your soul, which destroys you.
When was the first time when one of your students got 8? Were those results kind of sensationalized when they came out? Like today, when someone gets a 9?
Yes. Yeah, I'm very good at swimming, I can say. I can swim up to 2 kilometers. If they have achieved it and got 8.5 in 1 year time, so they can learn 4 other languages at that level. I'd like them to grasp some of the world knowledge, about general knowledge. They're losing their encyclopedic knowledge, They're not reading a lot.
All right, let's save some of it for the podcast. All right, so you tell us when to start. Hey folks, hey everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ad Astra Muse. I'm your host, Muhammad Ali here. Today, I'm going to be talking to another amazing guest. This person is one of the pioneers in IELTS in Bukhara. He's the founder of one of the biggest schools here. You probably know the school, it's Millennium. But what you guys may not know is he is one of the co-founders of the Ad Astra school. Yes, the very school that sponsors this podcast. So if you guys are curious to meet this person, please keep watching our episode. All right, it's time to finally meet Mr. Murodillo Jurayev. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming to the podcast today.
My pleasure.
So you are quite a big name here in Bukhara. And what do you say we talk a little about your past? So one of the things I know is that you went to Turkish Lyceum here in Bukhara, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it was like going to Turkish Lyceum? Like, why was it called Turkish Lyceum at the time?
Because it was established by the Turkish people. With the introduction of the Turkish Lyceum, it was like a gold rush that everybody just, almost all the parents wished that their children were studying there, So it was in 1992 that I was lucky enough to have been accepted to that Lyceum. It was a great chance, and I passed all the exams. Yeah. The Lyceum was very famous for its discipline. I would say it was very famous because of the good selection of the students. I would say that hundreds, or maybe even later, thousands of students took exams, but only dozens of them could pass the exams. So yeah, it was a fantastic result. We had a bunch of good teachers from Turkey, and some even studied at Oxford.
Wow.
Yeah, I know some of the teachers like Akif Soylu, Attila. They were very famous of their time. And their methods were unmatchable, So I got very good knowledge from them. And I was lucky enough to have studied with another bunch of good classmates, because all the classmates were smart students. And you'd rather not have lagged behind them. So you tried hard. You tried to get all the best from the teachers and from your classmates, because they knew a lot of things. Yeah.
So in what ways exactly did Turkish Lyceum differ from other, schools in town, like public schools?
It was a new Lyceum. It was a new Lyceum because we didn't used to have any Lyceums before. And it got famous overnight, I could say, because with the introduction of it, it started to work very hard and they had a ready program. It was not something that were going to test on students, you know. They had teachers from Oxford, from very prestigious universities all over the world. And what they did was to choose the best students ever in the town. So, and you can imagine how it is pleasant to be studying with those students who were academically perfect in all fields, you know? Yeah. And another thing I could tell you about the Lyceum was it's so even though I lived quite near the Lyceum, so I had to stay in a dormitory. So 24/7, so I had to communicate with the Turkish people who spoke either English or Turkish with you. So within a year, so I was able to speak both languages. So yeah.
Right. Well, I see. And then what happened to this Lyceum? Like, we don't have this Lyceum anymore,
It
right?
closed down because of some reasons. I don't know why. I think it should be related to or associated with the politics. I don't know. So what happened? But it was a nice place for the students to study.
Like this, like all of a sudden they stopped working here. What kind of politics was it? Like, do you or you don't know the
I
exact
don't know
details?
because when it closed down, so I was in Tashkent, so I didn't hear anything about it. So I heard that it closed down. That's it.
Right. But then why would they just scrape off a good school off the face of the city when it was doing so much good to our community? Like, it really makes you wonder. Would you say we have such schools in the city now that can match their standards?
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
It was a unique place. Yeah.
Right, right. Are we gonna be able to build such school one day ourselves, like
Yeah,
people of
we can.
Bukhara?
We can. Yeah, we have to establish a per English school. That's it. Yeah, we have to work on it. We can see Uzbek schools, Russian schools, but there is no English school here, which runs only English classes here. We have to build it.
And you were taught all in English back in Lyceum,
Yeah,
Turkish
we had
Lyceum.
science classes in English. We had math class in English. So everything was conducted in English and in Turkish. Yeah, that's why it was great.
You already had that back in the 90s, 1990s.
1992, yeah, it started. And when I was in my sixth grade, so I had a chance of getting all these subjects in English, in Turkish, you know, that's why. The environment was pleasant. We had good activities after class as well. We were very much interested by being given some perks and bonuses. We played good games, you know, because at that time, the telephone was not the distraction like it is today. We played outside, met very good friends. We played football, we played volleyball with those teachers as well. So yeah, and I got a chance of meeting two presidents of that time, Turgut Özal, the former president of Turkey, and the former president, the first president of Uzbekistan, Islam Karimov.
You got to meet them. You got to
Yeah.
shake hands with them.
Yeah. I remember if we shook hands, but we greeted with them, we talked with them, they asked some questions, we answered it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was very happy that I saw them too. We were taken to the airport to meet them.
Wow. Wow. It must have been that special for, your Lyceum must have been that special for you guys to get to meet the presidents. Wow, that's just, it's, how about the presidential schools now? Don't you think like they can provide like as good of education now as the Turkish Lyceum once did? Because like I've had some people from presidential school come on the podcast and talk about their system and how rigorous it is. I'm getting the same vibes here.
I
You're talking
haven't
about
heard
the
much
Turkish
about
Lyceum.
the presidential school. I don't know much about it, but I know that they are running well. The classes are running in English. Most of the classes are effectively just run. Yeah, but I don't know much about it.
And like you said, it's a boarding school where our kids aren't allowed to leave campus until the weekend. They stay
Yeah.
there 24/7, and there are like strict guidelines on when they can use their phones and when they can go out for entertainment. There are strict guidelines for how much time they should be spending on their homework. plus they get to have nice facilities like a swimming pool. They got a
Yeah.
great canteen,
It's not. It sounds like that. It sounds like that school.
and half the staff is international. They got teachers from different countries, all teaching in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like now you're telling me about this Turkish Lyceum, I'm starting to get, well, I guess they sort of took that idea, just reinvented it and rebranded it,
Yeah.
called it
Yeah.
presidential school.
We can. I think we can do it. Yeah. We can just open a private school to run all the subjects, all the classes in English. Yeah, we can do it. I think.
Yeah, I've actually been giving it a thought lately, but I feel like the problem here would be like staffing. Like it's really hard to find good staff and and be able to offer them pay tempting enough to keep them in the city. From what I've heard, like teachers.
I don't think there is a need. There is a demand for the American or English teachers that come from other countries. I think that we can hire staff from here or prepare them just for IELTS maybe, or just train them to teach the courses in English. Yeah, I think we can do it. I think we can do it.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
There are very good students in all departments at the university, so we can just hire them. We can just have them here, prepare them for the classes. I think it's quite manageable.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Then why not give it a shot? So we are. Yeah. I didn't think we could do that. What I had in mind was like teaching the international curriculum, but they have what's called the A levels, and they have what they call the American school curriculum. And to be able to like sort of implement those subjects, you would ideally need international staff. But if that's not an option, then we can go with the local labor. We can try the local teachers here. Yeah, but it's not entirely out of the question. Like it's still something we can manage with the teachers here.
Yeah,
agree.
I think it's difficult to draw international teachers here, but in the past, when I was in my high school, so we had a good chance of having Peace Corps volunteers from the United States as well. So I was fortunate enough to have had teachers like Melissa Miller from the United States who helped me grow my English exponentially, because I was in close in touch with her and with other Peace Corps volunteers. They organized some camps, and just we were taken to the camps, to the American camps, where we could see lots of Americans teaching us English, helping us with it, and just organizing some activities. Yeah, it was great.
So, like, where did you go after Lyceum? Once you graduated Lyceum, where did you go to college?
I applied to the university, applied to the University of World Languages, but I really dreamed of being a student in the University of World Diplomacy, World Economics and Diplomacy, but I don't know what happened to me, because you know what? Before, we had a chance to take exams in two universities. Like we could just take an exam in the University of World Economic and Diplomacy, and at the same time, we could just take an exam in any kind of university. But later, in a year, when I was an applicant, so it was cancelled. So I didn't have a chance to do it, and I was afraid. I was afraid that I would fail. So I didn't just want to risk, and I applied to the University of World Languages, and yeah, I won a scholarship there. I started there, yeah.
All right. So, why did you want to go to University of Economy and the other one, Economy and Policy? You said, right? Politics.
Politics, yeah.
Yeah. So, why did you want to go to this university initially? So, what did you want to study there?
I wanted to work in an embassy in the future. Yeah, I had a great just passion to work in an embassy in the future. But as I said, I was afraid to fail the exam, and I didn't just try. Yeah, and then.
Do you regret that decision? Do you regret not going for it?
No, not now. But I did when I was a student. For 4 years, I tried to transfer to one of the best universities, but later I understood that this was better for me.
Right. And what was your experience like going to University of World Languages? Like, how did you like it there?
It sounded good. you know. But this is the same university with the English department here in at the university here. So I wouldn't say that there is something extraordinary that you can learn. You can go and learn there. All you have to do is go there and just stay in the dormitory for 4 years to learn only one language, you know. Eh,
Yeah. So you think it's not really worth it?
no.
No. So the university.
I spent my 4 years. I spent a lot of money on my living expenditures. So, but it was for the good. Yeah, I loved it. I loved being a student at that time. I had lots of friends there. It was great.
Right. Right. I can't quite say it's if it's good or bad to go to a university to learn a language because I didn't go to a university to learn a language myself. I majored in economics with finance, but from what I've heard from students of ours who come to our school to work on their IELTS and pass the test, they tell me that it's not they're they're not quite they might not be doing quite much in the way of language learning when they're at university, but I don't really want to take their word for it because I'd like to, it can't be like all that bad, honestly. Because the university does get you to do some activities, don't they? They send you on field trips, they get you to give classes at schools. Did you not have those activities?
Only in the practicing year, I had a chance to work in Tashkent. So I started teaching in Tashkent 2001 in my practicing year, only in the last year of my studies. But I was really disappointed on the first day of my class. So when they gave us ABC books, yeah, because I was much better prepared before I entered the university, you know. So it was really disappointing to see a very simple elementary level book given to us. Yeah.
Right.
I had to drop most of the things at the university and just had to study on my own. Go to the library. We had very good choices of libraries in Mustaqillik Library in Chorsu and British Council Library. Yeah, and I had a good chance of getting a lot of knowledge from those libraries.
What really interests me about your, so we good? Okay, it's good. Thank you. So what really interests me about your career is that you are one of the first people to teach IELTS in the city, or the whole country for that matter, right? Is it not true? Would you say you are one of the pioneers in IELTS in Uzbekistan?
I had a friend of mine whose name was Khurshid. We studied together. We studied in Utah State University before and came here to teach. And I can say that he had started a few months before me, and then he recommended that I should continue his work there. We were studying in one place at that time. So before that, I had grammar courses, I had general English, TOEFL, because TOEFL was all the rage at that time. So many just students wanted to study TOEFL. And at that time, it was PBT, which was paper-based TOEFL, and then later it became CBT, computer-based. And later it became a little bit unclear to me because everything was merged and integrated, so we quitted it. Yeah, and then we started IELTS.
So, like, how old is IELTS in Bukhara? Like, how long have you been? How long has it been around in the city?
About 2 decades.
2 decades, like
yeah.
20. So it started like around 2005.
Yeah, we had a few students who had their IELTS before because we had the University of Westminster, which had already been running here in Tashkent. So the students could just go and just take an exam with TOEFL or IELTS. Yeah, but I can say that there were not so many students who were preparing for IELTS at that time.
So, and what was it like teaching IELTS like at the beginning? So, did you have any clue, idea about how to?
It was very hard because it was new to you as well, because you don't know much about it. Unlike today, because of the access to everything now, access to video classes, access to professional teachers, video classes, and ChatGPT AI helping everyone just getting their essays checked and improving their skills. So at that time, it was like the introduction of IELTS, introduction of the academic English. After all those years that I spent teaching grammar only and general English, some speaking classes. So yeah, the main problem was the publications, the materials, the audio system was not so clear. We had cassettes. At that time, we had an agent in British Council Library. I can say my students just were members in that library. We asked them to get the materials delivered, and it was delivered by transport, so we had to go and take the materials and get them scanned and printed out, and the cassettes were copied. So yeah, we had a 2 cassette tape recorder at the time, which helped us to copy from one cassette to another one. But we didn't used to get the original sound system because of the copy versions, you know. Yeah, but anyway, the materials were the main problems. We had some hardworking students who did 7 times Cambridge test, you know.
A single test,
A
7
single
times.
test for 7 times, yeah. But they scored well. They scored well, yeah. It was like they were very happy if they received a new practice book, a new test book. It was like a holiday for them, you know. Also,
Can I pause you here for a second? Would you say students back then excelled better in their studies than students now, exactly because of this reason, because of the shortage of materials? Students were limited to only 1 or 2 textbooks, and
yes.
they really tried to take it all in, every single detail, went over the passages a few times. But now students are like trying to get all the Cambridge tests done, like 20 of them
Yeah.
before their exam, and just look through them, but not actually pay
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
Would you not say it's a problem now?
We have everything now. We have all access to everything. We cannot just imagine it. If you imagine having these kind of materials in the past, but I would say that the scores just would rise at that time. But at that time, I remember 6.5 were very big results, very big just scores. And even universities in other countries, like in the US, required IELTS no more than 6.5 or 7 because they did just expect something higher the from the countries like Uzbekistan, you know. We had very few students who scored 7.5. Yeah, and the average score was 6.5 if you want to go and study in other countries and win a scholarship.
And what was the first time when one of your students got 8? Do you remember that moment? Like,
Yeah, I think Firuza got the first 8. She was the Westminster student. But when she just studied with us, she was an applicant. She got even 8 in writing the first time, I think. And later we had a bunch of good results, like 8 and 8.5 even.
wow.
Yeah.
And
After about a couple of years after that.
were those results kind of sensationalized when they came out? Like today, when someone gets a 9?
Yes, they were really sensational because we didn't have many like that, you know. It was real sensational.
Yeah. So like all parents talking. Did it make the news?
Yeah.
Was it in the news like when they got 8.5 or not really?
We didn't have widespread media, so no one just could widespread it, you know. So, but Bukhara is a small town, so everybody, I think, heard about these results. Yeah.
And like, at what point in your career did you become more organized in your teaching practice? I mean, like set up a school, or did it happen like gradually, where you like started
It
small?
happens gradually after we accumulated more and more materials and became more professional in teaching IELTS, you know, because Because writing was always a problem because we had very few books on which taught us to write a good essay, especially in Task 1. And in Task 2, we had only one or two books which could help us to improve our writing. But I would say that we would do it more naturally because from the time they were taught grammar, so we gave them a chance to write more and more sentences, and we checked their sentences. So they came into IELTS writing more naturally. I would say that's from
It's like what I meant to ask was like you like when you started working alongside other teachers, like when did that happen? Like when you hired your own teachers? I remember you used to work at Medical Institute.
Yeah.
Not like you simply use their facilities, right? You weren't really
I
employed.
worked alone for a long time, I would say for 5 or 6 years. And then just I started to hire one or two of my students. So the first teacher who assisted me was Lola. She's now famous in Tashkent too, with the name of Miss Lola. She's doing well now in Tashkent. She was a very good student, but she was the first teacher. And then we had Madina. She was a very good teacher as well, so she got 7.5. And later we had Delia. She got 8.5. So we had a very good team at that time. Yeah. So I think it was after about 5 or 6 years after I worked alone, and then I just started to hire teachers and just make a team.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I remember when I was your student, you used to have Miss Sabina. Two Miss Sabinas working with you. Sabina.
Nasiba.
Oh, Nasib.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope they're not gonna hate me for getting their names wrong. I'm totally sorry.
Nasiba. We had
Nasibas. Yes.
Nafisa, we had Nasibas, yeah.
Right. And one of them now is in the U.S.
Yes.
Right.
One of them is in the US now. She's studying and she's working there. She's there with her family. And one is working with us now.
Oh, really? She's back.
Yes.
Wow, what a pleasant surprise.
Nasba Nusrat was working now. She's a very just perfect teacher, yeah.
I still
She's
remember
all
her.
around it. She's very good.
Right. I'd love to meet her again. Like she used to be my reading teacher.
Yeah.
Like I remember she was like really strict with all my group mates, but she was like less strict with me, and I kind of I miss those days. I really miss her. Right. We haven't seen each other in such a long time. It's been, I don't know, like 10 years, a little over 10 years now.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but I still remember her, like how great she was, and other Miss Nasiba.
Yeah, she's in the US now.
Yeah, they're great. They're both great. Now, at what point did you decide to found Millennium, the school?
Well, I think it was after we moved into a new building, into a new institution, which is now Millennium IELTS Center. But before that, I had my name, so people knew the school by my name. So I think it was about 7 years ago. We just put this name. Yeah.
And who came up with this name? Why didn't you call it like Jurayev's?
I don't
did you
know.
call it
So
Millennium?
I wanted to do it, but I don't know.
Who
It sounded nice. No, I did it.
Oh, you came up with this name.
I came up with this idea.
So some people say you copied chocolate brand's
No,
chocolate
it's not
company's name.
chocolate. Millennium has a hospital. Millennium has a chocolate factory. Yeah, but it doesn't have a school. So this was the first school in the world with the name Millennium.
Right. So Millennium is like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to say with this name? Do you
Yeah, to last long. To work for a long time. Yeah.
right enduring, long-lasting, impactful?
Impactful.
Yeah.
Being more useful to the people, to the young people, especially. Yeah.
What are some challenges you faced in the process of setting up your, to become in the process of becoming established, or say setting up this school, founding the school, Millennium? What are some hurdles you had along the way, be it logistic wise or financial, or it can be related to your curriculum or staff, or is it like a bit of everything?
No, I worked for about 15 years, moving from one place to another. I can say so. I started just teaching in one of the Lyceums. Then I had to leave the Lyceum. I moved to another Lyceum, then to the Medical Institute, and then we rented a building. And then just I started to think about just saving some money and build our own institution, which would be just called with a name, you know. So I don't think I came across any financial difficulties because it came just regularly. So I needed some time to save money and build the things, you know. And it required about 2 or 3 years before we moved into that building. Because first I bought the property, it was the land, and then just we put up the building. It took some time. It had some difficulties because you needed to provide the workers with money all the time and work at the same time because I had a big load of classes at that time. So I had to work and come and check what is going on in the building. So yeah, but it was a temporary thing.
It must have been really hard, like being in charge of construction and working
It
on
is.
top of that, and then
But if your workers are reliable, so if you just rely on them, because I knew them all, because they worked in my house, so I trusted them, and that's why I hired them and just trusted them. The building, they did their job well, so yeah, I'm happy with their work.
right, right. So if someone wants to get a job at Millennium, what's the hiring process like? What are some qualities you look for in your teachers or in your potential teachers?
Well, we'll first look at the score that he has. It should be more than 7.5, 8.5 for the better, yeah. And then he should conduct a class. It should be a demo class where I sit at the back of the classroom and just observe his class, his or her class.
Oh, really? You do that?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes an experienced teacher there does it. We'll see how he's just behaving in front of the students. Is he trying to convey something useful to them during the process? Because it is not a long session. They will have to just finish their class in 10 or 15 minutes, and the other one will just start the class because we'll have 5 or 6 teachers just doing this at one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sometimes we do it. And another thing that I expect from them is being more informative and being more resourceful. When a teacher stops, so you cannot just teach further. That's why I expect that they have to be able to work on themselves more and more. They have to have a plan of what they're going to teach the student the other day, another day. Also, they have to be demanding because it's impossible to teach a class, to teach students without it, especially now when the students are not obeying too much like it was in the past, because 2 or 3 decades ago, the students were more obedient. They followed what you suggested them. Yeah.
Right. So how do you then deal with those problematic, troubling students? So do you have?
We gave them a chance. Before we dropped them to a lower group, but now we're not doing it because it's like an endless process. Because once you drop him, another teacher will drop in too, so he will be just kicked out like for a long time. That's why it's not a good solution.
So like they
We
get.
ended up with it. So we gave them a chance to go and prepare and retake the test again. Because if he failed the test, so he will have another chance to take an exam and prove that he can do it. If not, then we'll talk with their parents, and after that we'll give him another chance. And if nothing works, so we'll have to dismiss him from the courses.
So when you say they have to retake the test, you mean like your internal test? Internal, you test
I mean the
your own test,
level.
right?
For example, if it is an elementary level book, so after the book, so they have to be tested. So after the test, if they fail, so they have to retake it. He comes up to the teacher, and the teacher just gives him some tests maybe, or just makes him translate something, or just have them listen something and translate. And then after that, we'll have to take some actions or just solve the problem.
Right. Right. Do, how about teachers? Like, how do you deal with problems that arise among your teachers? When you have like teacher problems, say they don't comply with your guidelines, your instructions, or they have uh, some exhibit some forms of misconduct, or they're late to class, chronically late. Like I used to be, I remember I used to be late to my classes quite often, and you did mention that to me a few times. So
Yeah.
uh, that's kind of an old habit.
Because you did your job very well, even though you came late, but you just stayed up late and worked. So it was okay. But there is a real problem when the teacher comes late and just finishes before the time allowed. It's like, for example, if they teach 1.5 hours, for example, yeah, instead of 2 hours. So yeah, I have to talk with them first. But we have some different problems with the teachers because the newcomers, the new teachers have problems. Like when you ask them to come and observe the old teachers or experienced teachers, they say they are short of time or they're just coming directly from the university. It's like it's like a problem because they have to learn a lot of things from the older teachers before they start teaching on their own. Another thing is they never misconduct because they know that someone is watching them all the time.
Yeah, the big guys watching them, cameras.
Yeah,
Cameras everywhere.
cameras are everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we always reiterate to them that they have to explain something new to them. Anything the student comes across, like a new, for example, idiomatic language or a grammar structure, because grammar structures are everywhere. You cannot just build a good sentence without being aware of the grammar structures. That's why I tell them again and again that they have to explain on the board. They have to use the board. Yeah, I get angry when they all the time just sit and explain something repeatedly, orally, without just having something written on the board, you know? Yeah.
Some schools in Tashkent, I've heard, they never let their teachers sit. They're supposed to stand, and that's by rule. They have a policy, strict policy that dictates that teachers stand at all times in class. Like I've heard there are some schools, and if you do sit, you get fined, or you get in trouble with your higher ups.
But
How do you feel about that?
I
It's a
think
little
it's
strict.
too strict. It's too strict over the teachers. Yeah, I think they have to be allowed to sit a few times when they get tired because it's impossible to stand up all the time and explain things. You know, they.
I think it works in Tashkent because their like class duration is much shorter. It lasts only
They have a big number of
80
students
minutes.
sitting. Yeah, they have to do a lot of things at one time. Yeah. Most of the time, they integrate 4 sections, and they have to be able to manage to do all of them at one time. Yeah, in 2 hours time, or maybe in 1 hour time. So that's why maybe. Yeah.
Oh, you don't actually have any, I guess, big schools in Tashkent where you get full 2 hour long class. Like the class duration is usually limited to 80 minutes. Because I worked at a couple of schools in Tashkent, and from what I remember, you don't have a 2 hour long class. Yeah, it's usually limited to 80 minutes. Not even 90, because there's like a 10-minute slack time. It's like where a teacher gets to sort of refresh, recharge before their next class,
Yeah.
right? Or it's the time for like doing attendance and grading sheet. And that's actually what I've been lately thinking. Maybe we change the class duration to 90 minutes to here.
Do you think it's enough?
Well, then we're going to have to reduce to probably the class size as well. For go from 10, 12 to maybe like 6 and 5, but that's not gonna really work out financially for the school and like the the space management and everything. So
Well, I tried every size of the audience, but I think 10 to 12 is not bad. I think, and 2 hours, I think that we can manage to do many things in this time. Yeah, I think 2 hours is quite enough because you'll have to integrate some of the skills like reading and writing or listening and speaking. That's why we need some more time to at that time. Yeah,
yeah, so like we should expand the class duration, not cut it,
not cut it. Yeah.
not cut it, right? This is it kind of makes sense if you think about the nature of our work, which is intensive preparation, unlike public schools where it's more chill and laid back, where you can just work at a slower pace. Here we have deadlines and like high targets. Like we need to get 7 and 6 months. It's like it's getting 7 and 6 months is like saying I want to go from barely being able to speak English to being able to speak English almost as well as a native. That's what you were saying when you say you want to get a 7 or higher, not to mention 8 or 9. Because sometimes students come with these crazy ambitions. To not say they're outlandish, they are achievable, but make no mistake, you're going to have to work your face off. It takes a lot of work and long hours of just grinding and grinding and grinding, studying, right? As for teacher training, things work. The way we go about teacher training here is we, just like Millennium School, we get our teachers to do class observation. But one addition we have here is we get them to fill out a form. We have a form where they have to mention things like their class highlights, the things that really stuck with them, and the teacher rating. They should rate the teacher whose class they observed, out of 10, 0 out of 10. And they also need to mention things they would have done differently. Like, and then they're supposed to share that form with the principal. And that's how I know they actually took part, that they paid attention, they learned something. So that's something you might want to add to your training process as well. Like without the sort
Well, we
of
ask them to observe a class, so we don't just tell them to just watch the class. Because the teacher that they are observing are well-known, good teachers, experienced ones like Nasiba Domlo or other teachers. But most of the teachers, when they observe, they think that they have to watch what they do, but it's not the case. We have to put down every single thing that they have to do with the students. For example, what's their reaction, for example, in each situation. Like when a student is not ready, so what the teacher did, or how he, for example, asked a question and just got the response. So everything, every detail. And when I observe the teachers, for example, when they give a demo class, so I put down a lot of things in a 10-minute time. So I ask them to do the same thing. When they want to grasp the whole thing from a teacher, they have to put down everything they observe. It's not the case. You, for example, go into the classroom, watch the teacher, and can say to yourself, okay, I can do it. Because most of the teachers, when they just sit up a class for about 2 or 3 days, they come out and say, I know the things too. I can manage. I can just have my class here. But later, if you trust him a class, so he fails to do it.
right. I see. A cool question here. How do you feel about teachers using corporal punishment, like physical punishment in the classroom? Do you support it?
I don't approve it because we usually get complaints from the parents now, but it wasn't the case in the past. So the teachers are young themselves, and it touches the parents, it touches the student when someone his age, for example, is doing something against his son, against his daughter, I'm against this idea, but sometimes the teachers,
Do it anyway?
they cannot just control themselves. Like, for example, so they don't know what to do, what else they can do with these students. They have them stand up, they make them, for example, do something, do some push-ups, maybe sit-ups, and then when I'm just watching it from the video camera, so I tell them not to do it. Yeah. We're trying to just cut them down because we had more of them before. We have to just do some less of it.
This was actually one of the points at our staff meeting today, I'm coming straight from our staff meeting, and we specifically touched on this topic, corporal punishment. And the solution to it, I was actually surprised to see some of our teachers make their students stand in class, despite the fact that they've been told many times that it's not okay here. We don't allow this, and they've never seen us do it in our practice, like when we were their teachers. And it got to a point where we had to do something about it. So we decided to introduce 5% fine on all teachers who use corporal punishment in class. So they get 5% deduction on their pay if they use any form of corporal punishment in the class. So this is hoping
This works.
Yeah, we're hoping that it's gonna.
I'm telling again and again to my teachers that we have to increase the amount of homework if they fail to do something. For example, if they fail to submit vocabulary, so increase the number of vocabulary. If they cannot just.
But don't you think it makes it worse? Don't you think it makes it worse? Like if they fail 20 words and you make them learn 40, it seems as though you're doing it on purpose.
The matter is they can do it, but they did not do it. They idled away with their friends. Maybe on the weekend they didn't do it. So it's like a deliberate action. We have to just take actions against them. So I think that it works because whenever they come unprepared, they have to think about the loads of homework they're going to be given the next day. So I think it works. For example, I did it myself. When a student, for example, came with unprepared or did a bad job, for example, at writing an essay, so I gave them 2 or 3 essays, and they had to write an essay, 2, 3 essays, and then leave.
Yeah,
it worked. Yeah,
I've heard. I've actually had some students who were your former students, and they told me like this one time you made one of the students learn 20 model essays in 1 week. That was just
too much.
It is too much. Yeah. It's too much.
You have to love what you're doing. You have to understand that this is for your benefit. If the student just loves something that he's doing, I think he will be.
But like with teenagers though, like they don't really they don't have this concept of like loving what you do, and it's natural that they hate homework because it's like a chore. It's like doing housework. So what we do here is we do the opposite. If they fail to learn 20 words, we make them learn 10. If they fail to learn 10, we make them learn 5. If they fail 5, we make them learn 1. And then once they learn 1, we're going to make them learn another 1, and then another 1. And then sort of like build up. So this like, as opposed to like being a little mean and bitter and retaliate, like you said, and make them learn 40 words instead of 20 if they fail 20 words. It kind of like really fractures the bond between the teacher and makes it seem like you are their enemies, like you're attacking them. But when you like tell them, okay, if you can't learn 20, how about we learn 10? How about we learn 5? How about we learn 4? Like, let's take it slow. I'm here to help you. So it's not really about like how many you can learn. It's really about like what we can learn together. It just creates like tender feelings between the teacher and the student, and they're gonna want to play along. They're gonna want to be your friend. Yeah. That's the kind of the approach we take here. But sometimes this approach doesn't work, and when it doesn't, we give them the stick. Not like a literal stick. I mean like the bad punishment. Yeah.
So the stick, you punish them, right?
Yeah. No. It was a metaphor. Okay, we do not hit anyone here with the stick. Mr. Muhammad Aziz, can you confirm that, please?
Just handle it.
No. We don't do that either. So when I said the stick, I meant like detention. Detention is the best policy. We just get them to, we keep them here for as long as they need to learn the words, and then we let them go home. With 9:30 being the latest, like we don't keep any students here after 9:30 because it might get us in trouble with the police.
What if they get accustomed to just staying up later? They know that they have a chance to stay up later and just submit the homework. So every time they come unprepared and just stay up here, prepare and submit the homework. So which takes the precious time of the teachers because he gets tired after school, after classes, and they have to just receive some of the lazy students,
So
We did it. We did some detention classes, but it didn't help because most of the students came unprepared and
anyway, right?
knowing that they can have, for example, just stay there.
But the detention is a limited offer. It's like they get detention only a couple of times. It happens the third time, they get a call. They get a call from their parents get a call from our receptionist, and if that no, before actually they get a call from our receptionist, they have to have a talk with the principal. So first detention and then the principal. If that happens again, then the parents get a call from the receptionist. If that happens again, before they would talk to me after the parent talk, but now I've removed myself from that procedure. I'm not part of that procedure anymore. They get expelled right away if the parent talk doesn't help. But it's really important for us to go through the entire procedure. So when we do suspend the student from the school, we'll have built like a strong case. And where we can go and tell the parent, yes, we've tried everything. We tried detention, we tried principal talk. You knew about this. Now, no change. Now we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So, but it's really important that we go through all these stages so parents know that we're actually trying. Their kids not being unfairly screwed out of the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what they might think sometimes. Like you're doing it on purpose. You're trying to fail my kid, and you're not working at all. You're all lazy teachers. You always ask. You never teach. Some of
But
the
we have to make sure that the parents know about all the procedures that they go through. Because it's like all of a sudden that they were just kicked out, because some parents come unaware of what happened because they went through several stages and then just were kicked out. But they think that it was a sudden decision by the teacher, so he did not just prepare for the homework and just he was kicked out. So yeah, I think that the teacher himself should inform the parents about how many just steps he went through before he was dismissed from the course.
Do you ever do? I shouldn't probably be talking about this on record, but do you ever do like fake suspension, fake expulsion? Like
Yeah.
you kind of expel, but he's not really expelled, just to teach him a lesson.
We do it many times. Yeah. We say, okay, you may not just come tomorrow. You may not come tomorrow because you failed to submit your homework. So you've been given a lot of chance, but you failed to submit them. So we tell the parents that they were just kicked out. But after some time, the parents come and they talk with us. They chant that the student's attitude will change. He will prepare. He will just work harder. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't work because, sometimes we regret just like saying something to the student when we are very angry. They may not come the other day because they think that it's very serious, that he was expelled, and that's forever. Yeah, different situations.
Yeah. I guess the expelling thing doesn't only works here in the city, in Bukhara. Like if you try expelling in Tashkent, students really don't care. It's like if you don't want to teach, okay, fine, I'm just gonna take my business with another center across the street.
That's why for me and for you, it's very difficult to run a class in Tashkent. Because I worked in Tashkent in 2001. The attitude of the students are very different, The attitude is very different. They have to be your everything. You have to be more patient than you are here.
Right, right. Do you think we're on that trajectory eventually in Bukhara to it's gonna get to a point where expulsion, suspension is not an option. Like schools can't afford it anymore. Now that there are more learning centers opening up in this city, and students have so many options to choose from. But while before they had only one or two big schools, but now there are more and more schools opening up.
We have to think about it, because expelling someone is not a good solution. Of course, we have to work with them. Anyway, we hear that student went to another course, to another learning center, and got it 6.5, which is quite satisfactory for him. We have shortened the number of students that we expelled before, because before I remember I expelled most of the students who were not ready for the class. I gave them a chance and another chance, so that there was no third chance, you know. So, but now we are trying to keep them in a learning center, trying to work more with them, asking the teacher to have some detention procedure after class, work with them more, stay up later. And this is what the teachers are doing now, because when the students go, when there is, for example, when there are fewer than 5, 6 students, we have to close that group. We have to just, yeah, and closing the group is not a good option, and the teacher will have no class at all, you know.
And students might get misplaced. They might end up in the wrong group because you might not
It might
have.
happen sometimes, but usually the ones who are moved to another group will have their place there, because we do it according to the level that they stay. For example, intermediate level group student never goes to up intermediate level, so
But
which
like,
quite works. But the main problem is with the teacher, because they have been accustomed to that teacher. So they don't want to change him or her. But it takes a little bit time before they get accustomed to the new teacher as well.
but what if you don't have a group that matches their level? So you said you shut down an intermediate group,
Then
but
we
there's no.
won't close the group. We'll wait for a new, for example, student who come from outside. Then we'll try to fill the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, so you just keep the group. You don't shut it down. You only do, and this is
We have to do it. Yeah, we have to do it. If there is no other alternative in other groups.
we do have actually some groups here with only like 5, 6 students. We like
We have now in the morning shift, because in the morning it's difficult to attract students from outside, because most of the students go to Lyceum, go to school in that time. So you have to keep that group. Yeah. It happens when we have morning groups, especially, and when they cannot just come in the afternoon. We have to keep that group, even if it has a small size.
right, right. That makes sense. With the expelling thing, with the expulsion thing. Now that I've been working managing a school for roughly 3 years now, obviously not as long as you have been in this line of work, I'm starting to realize that the suspension usually happens because of poor management and mismatch between the teacher and the student, or the student and the program. So if a student gets placed into a program, say, higher than their actual level, then they're going to struggle, and it's going to seem to the teacher that they may not be doing well as well as they should be doing. Like, so this is, the teacher may misinterpret their situation, their case, and then it might be reported as an instance of slacking, being lazy, right? And then that student gets told off, and then it leaves a bad impression, and then it dismotivates them, and then they're gonna want to quit, and then they get tossed into another group, and then that sort of they get stuck in this cycle of being discouraged and always struggling with their academics, with their assignments, all of it because, like, at the beginning you couldn't quite match the student's level with the right program. Like, you couldn't give him the right, either the program or the teacher. So so that means if you can, as managers or principals of school, if we can improve the process of group placement, student placement, and admission, we might be able to, like, reduce the cases of expulsion over time.
Yeah.
Like, if we can match the student with the teacher well, or the program. Yeah, but it's a very complex problem, because sometimes the level is that they're 100% matched, the teacher, the student, the program, and the student, but there are still some trivial problems along the way that might add up and seem like a big issue, like the students skipping classes over time accumulates to them lagging behind, and then it's going to it might get them in trouble with the principal. So there are a lot of student cases where expulsion happens for really different reasons. So, but whatever it is, and now I'm starting to realize that it's expulsion should be avoided at all costs, and we should try to look at the reasons why student it came to that point. And if you really, look into the situation, you realize that there are so many different factors at work, and that with the it's just the problem of misalignment, like things not really well aligned. And if you just move a few pieces and align them together, this case can be solved without letting the student go, right?
But you know what? In many cases, did I see how schools succeeded when they expelled students who did not do well at school? And one good example was the Turkish Lyceum. So you were not just guaranteed to continue studies the next year if you failed the exams that year. And by that way, everybody was afraid to fail, so nobody just dared to do it. So you were given some time, you were given some chance to retake your exam, but after all, if you did not do it well, so you have to go. You had to leave that school. So this is how it worked. First, they had a good selection of students first, and out of them, they chose the best of the year, the students who did very, very well that year. And they made sure that the next year only those students who passed the exams with flying colors could study with them. You know how the selection worked then. And it became very successful overnight. So in a year time, there were lots of people, there were lots of parents who wished their children were studying in that Lyceum. Everybody heard about that school, Everybody.
Right.
I think that if we want to stay more serious, if we want to be working for a long time and for the results, I think that we have to think about expelling the students as well, because without it, it's difficult. Because when a student gets 5, for example, if he gets B1, but he needed B2, and the parents come and they complain about, for example, about the result. They go out, they speak out to everybody, see, for example, about the results that they got in your school. So imagine what might happen if lots of students get 5 or 4.5 in that school. That's why, to avoid this, we have to make sure that that student goes ahead with you. That student can achieve something. This is what I think.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Expulsion. If there were no consequences.
You're not expelling the student after the first chance, You're giving them some more chance. You're trying your best, for example, to prepare him not to fail the exams, but if all of the effort that you're doing, for example, don't work out, so what choice do you have?
Yeah, that's true. Right. Founding Ad Astra. This is something a lot of you guys probably don't know about Mr. Jurayev, teacher. He is one of the co-founders of the school of Ad Astra. A lot of people associate the school with me and Alicia, but it's about time we all brought you into the spotlight and gave you some credit for helping us get this school off the ground. And this school would not exist without him. So would you like to talk a little about how it all happened? When did you get the idea? When did you decide you wanted to, sort of expand? And the idea wasn't Ad Astra all along, right? Initially it was supposed to be an extension of Millennium.
Yeah.
Right? So,
The idea was expansion of Millennium, but later, after we realized that two schools in a neighboring area would be confusing for some of the students just to find a place. The location is very just close to each other, so we had to think of another name. So it was Ad Astra. It was a good name, so I liked it very much. And yeah, and you suggested, I think, yeah, you suggested that it be Ad Astra after all, and I agreed on it. But anyway, I can say that it's your hard work that you're making an effort to expand your school now, just and the school which is running very smoothly with very few problems. I hear because I have never just heard anything bad about the school.
oh, really?
Yeah, I liked it very much because
Can you please cut this part of the podcast and share it on the staff chat with our teachers? You see, this is why what we do what we do here.
guys,
I wish.
I have to admit that you are working very hard. So I heard that you even sometimes do not go home until it is 12 o'clock. It's a really hard work, because I cannot just allow myself to stay up so late and just go home after 12, after 1 o'clock. It's a really hard work and it should be deserved, yeah.
It's the. I'm really glad you mentioned the like the smooth part, like the school's working smooth, and that's how it looks from the outside. But if you really look behind the scenes, there is
From a professional side, because I'm
so
a
much
teacher,
work
so
going
I
on.
know what is happening here, and that we're partners, we're co-founders, so I know, I have to know what is going on here. So, but I'm happy that it is running very well now. So, yeah, I'm happy that they're working.
But if you looked behind the curtains, you'd see like the total.
There are lots of problems behind the curtains
There's
in all learning centers.
yeah.
But yeah. But I'm happy that most of the parents they understand what we're doing and that we're doing what we're doing is not in vain. That it works out some day later, even though the children sometimes they go out just weeping, just saying that they did a lot of things, but they prepared for the homework day and night, but they couldn't pass. There might sometimes be a conflict between you and the parent, but eventually, when you explain that the result is the first thing, then they will try to understand. I think it's quite easy to work with the parents now, and when you explain everything in detail, and when the parent just asks you about the result, they might just come angry because they may think of their children first. They want to protect him or her, yeah. But after you explain, so everything is good. Then after that,
Yeah, yeah. It's just now parents are more informed about IELTS, while before there's not much to know about IELTS. Uh, and most of the kids who come here, it's their siblings, their brothers and sisters actually did IELTS, so parents already kind of got a clue how intensive the
word
preparation
of mouth.
process
Yeah,
is.
Bukhara is a small town, so it's a word of mouth.
Right, right, right. What are some really important lessons you've learned? I guess this is too general of a question. So I'm probably just going to skip this part and instead ask you this. You are known by many people as a man of faith. So, what do you think is the role of faith in success?
Because when you're faithful, I don't think that you're going to cheat someone or you're going to lie to someone. Because you're afraid of Allah. You have to try it. You will try to go on the right path every time, and yeah, not deceive someone, for example, or not just say that someone will get seven in a 2 months' time, which is itself not a thing that can be believed. Um, yeah, I don't know anything else about.
If these questions are too personal, you can totally let me know. At what point have you like always been this sort of like a devout practitioner of religion, or was there a point in your life where you like started spending more time or trying to like inform and educate yourself more about this?
There is some time that I have to do more dates, good dates, like in Ramadan, or if you go to the holy place, Mecca in Medina, so you have to be there, think about your dates, think about your ibadat all the time, so without thinking of what is going on in your school. So all the other time, you'll try to keep a balance between your uh, worshipping, your prayers, for example, that not to miss your time, not to miss the prayers time, and try to keep at the same time the balance between it. So I don't think that most of the people, when they say they cannot just worship on the pretext of having a lot of work, so I don't understand so why they do it, because it's very easy. So it can be in a good balance if you try. Just you need to try. That's it. 5 or 10 minutes, for example, every other time. So it's not a problem for you if you can just keep a pace between both of them.
What's the most spiritual experience you've ever had? Have you ever had a moment where like you felt deeply connected with a higher being, with God? And when did that happen?
It was on the Laylatul Qadr night. Because we are not just clearly given the day of the Laylatul Qadr. By Prophet ﷺ, he said that the last 10 days you have to seek Laylatul Qadr, which is a very, very precious time in a Muslim's life, because it guarantees 80 years of ibadat, 80 years of worshipping in a single night. But he said about some of the signs. He said that they would be some rain, some wind as well. And I experienced it in Mecca, near the Kaaba. Most of the signs, I can say all of the signs that the Prophet said happened on that night. We had a good weather, we had some wind, we had some rain that night. And everything was smooth. Your worshiping was very comfortable for yourself because you got a good connection with Allah at that time. So this is how I was very, very just connected. There are some other cases I can say. There are lots of miracles by Allah that you can witness. You can get connected. Very just. There is some time that your connections are very strong. They're really strong. Lots of times.
And how does that make you feel, like in those moments? Because I have some of those moments too, and when I feel that connection, it feels as though my like physical body doesn't exist. Does it feel the same with you?
Physical body doesn't exist, you mean?
What I mean is like I don't feel hungry, I don't feel tired, I don't feel
your
angry. I feel at
thirst is
peace.
quenched. Because your thirst is quenched by what you're doing, because this is something spiritual. This is something that you're just getting in touch with Allah, the Almighty. And yeah, your hunger goes, because I didn't feel any hunger when I was fasting, especially when I was in Mecca in Medina, so I didn't feel hungry. I never just felt this feeling, because I was all the time close to Allah. Yeah, this is how I felt. You never feel about it. And when you have to break your fast, you won't want to eat or drink anything, just a cup of water maybe, or some dates, maybe 1 or 2 dates. That's it. That's enough for you. The only thing you have to do is just to eat something for the breakfast time, not to be hungry enough to be able to do what you want, to be able to worship more properly. You have to just eat something, but not too much. This is how I felt. But the other time, other than Ramadan, so you can easily get hungry. You know, it's very difficult for me, for example, to go fasting on the other months, except in Ramadan. I think this is what you meant, right?
Yeah. Do you sometimes feel like you've lost that connection? And when does it happen?
I do, yeah.
And when
I
does it
don't think
happen? What are the like events that lead up to that moment? Like when you feel like you've just gone astray, you don't feel that bond anymore.
And one himself is to be blamed for this, and I blame myself for this because when I just loosen up my connection with Allah, uh, I can think of the scenes, or I broke a rule maybe, so that's why I'm getting punished for this. Yeah, and I believe that any good action is from Allah, and any sin is by you, you know, because you do this deliberately or without knowing that this is a sin, but it's your thing, you know. But anything good that you can do is from Allah because He gives you inspiration to do it. If you lose this touch, if you lose this connection, so you have to be blaming yourself. That's why I don't want to blame anyone for what I do, for the loosening up of my connection. It happens from time to time when I'm just far away from my worshiping, when I have lots of other work and forget about the ibadats of that day, for example, or if I do very just short of time of it, you know.
Right. And how do you get back on that? How do you get back that relationship? How do you restore that connection?
You have to ask Allah to forgive you for this. And there is some istighfar you have to count, for example, 100 times, 200 times of istighfar until your soul is, I can say, for example, broken, because we have to ask Allah to, so that the soul is open to Allah only, and it should be emptied for Allah only. And we have to ask Allah that all the other things like dunya should be taken away, and His love only should be inserted. You know, this is what we have to ask Allah. So ask Him to forgive you, and this helps because Allah loves when you ask Him forgiveness. You know, when you just ask to forgive all the sins, because we every time we, for example, walk on the path, we have.
Right. Right. And when you do ask for forgiveness, the really important part is that you have to be sincere about it.
I'll try.
You try being like really genuine. It's like not like ask forgiveness in words, but really feel the remorse, guilt that you actually are, you sinned, you lost your way, and that you're truly sorry for it. And sometimes when it happens to me, I get really overwhelmed to the point I feel like crying, but I can't. And it after a few moments, I feel liberated. I feel that I've been set free of that burden, of that
This
pain. But
happens when you're not just feeling, when you're not being arrogant, because arrogance is the worst thing, which kills your soul, which destroys you, because you're having your sins, you know your sins, but you're arrogant about it. You tell the people around, oh, this is very bad. Allah just dislikes those people who boasts with, who brags about what they did, for example, yeah? They did something bad, something wrong, but they're happy, they're proud of it. So this is the worst thing. But when you regret about the thing that you did, it's one of the best things, because Allah loves people who are sad, who regret what they did and ask for forgiveness.
right, it's a very unique thing. All I can say is something so profound and so overwhelming, and at the same time so rich and meaningful that you can't really trade for, and you don't want to trade for anything that is hard to match. That's unmatched. It's the But it really takes a lot of effort to be able to reach that spiritual state of purity and connection with God. It takes like a lot of fasting, and this whole point of fasting is because I've lately been doing some reading as well in on this topic, is that it's really about keeping your desires in check and being able to show that you can submit to the will of God, and that it's about this one of the things I read in the tafsirs of the book Quran, there are tafsirs there that explain in detail why people are asked to fast, is that it's about, I forgot the word for it. They use the word it's about abstaining from the bad things, the bad habits, the bad deeds, and it starts with you abstaining from food, right? So if you can do that, you can count on yourself to abstain from other bad things. Not saying food is a bad thing, but it's one of the basic necessities. And fasting is a way to train that will, to train that willpower to abstain from doing bad things.
Sure.
Yeah. And this is one way you can reach that state of spiritual purity. Another way is doing good deeds, and being very truthful, not just with the outside world, but with yourself about what you are doing. Like, are you being truthful when you say, I'm working hard enough? Are you being truthful when you say, I'm being helpful enough? Are you being truthful when you say, I'm being honest with in my business? Are you really being truthful when you say, I'm a family man, or I care about my family? Because if you really think about it, most of the time we're just we're deceiving ourselves, and that further pushes us away from that connection. Right? It's a self deceit. That's what it is, and part of working towards that spiritual connection is ending that self deceit and being more honest with yourself before you start being honest with people around you. And that's really hard. It takes a lot of courage and really self-reflection, I guess, to be willing to face your insecurities and your fears and admit that you have them. And it also takes a lot of, I guess, courage. Did I mention the word courage? To face those fears and insecurities, which not many people would be comfortable doing. Courage. Yeah. It's deep. It's really deep. All right.
It was good to talk about the things, yeah?
Yeah, it is. It's just putting some of these thoughts out there. Right? That's what's really going on inside our heads when we think about this. It's very profound. Like, when all people see, when they think about our religion, is that we're just sitting and squatting and just starving ourselves the entire day, but there's really more to it.
Yeah.
If they actually study the science behind it, it is so meaningful and impactful. And what really strikes me about this is that it is like all backed up with good reason, and only those people who say that these are just some baseless traditions that people or relics of the past, they haven't really looked deep enough into it, or they're just being short-sighted.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right. Anyway, so what are some hobbies you have outside work? Well, what do you do for personal recreation? Do you watch movies, listen to podcasts, read books, or
I prefer
do you
reading
do?
books more often than other activities because, when I read books, so I enjoy that time spent on reading.
What do you read? What kind of books do you read?
To tell the truth, I read Quran, interpretation of it sometimes, but mostly Quran itself.
You can read in Arabic?
Yeah.
Wow. How long does it take you to learn Arabic?
It won't take you a long time because you can learn it in a 2 weeks time, I think.
In 2 weeks, you can learn Arabic.
You can.
Wow.
The most important thing is to spend some time doing some quality time, learning the alphabets, but then not just actual alphabets, but the characters. And you have to be able to read them correctly because this takes a longer time. You can learn by heart the characters, but when it comes to reading correctly or reading, for example, more properly, like the prophet read, because it goes to him. Most of the time, we have to be able to read like him. So it takes a long time. A longer time, I can say 2 or 3 weeks. But it's anyway up to you.
So I mean, like producing the correct sounds,
Yes.
the parts
It's
where you.
about how you produce each character and how you connect these, for example, characters, You have to connect them. There are lots of them. One sound has, for example, can be confused when you misspell them. Like it has, for example, th like in English, but it has more of it. Like, for example, it has 3, 4 ths with different sounds. Sa is different, the is different.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
some
know
other
that.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say Arabic is harder to learn, harder to master than English, or about the same level?
It is because of the grammar, because of the words. There are lots of words you have to learn, and each word just may mean many different things.
In Arabic, right?
In Arabic, yeah, it takes a longer time. We cannot just compare it because when I took my daughters to the Arabic teacher, I told him that my daughters got 7.5 for a short period of time. And he tried to explain that this is not English. It's a very different thing. So you have to be tolerant. We have to be just patient when you want to teach them Arabic. That's the reason, yeah.
Right. Arabic. Do you do any sports in your free time?
I did. I went in for sports. I went to swimming. I loved it very much, but not now. I don't know why. So I'm getting lazy now, But 2 months ago, I went swimming every 2 days. Yeah, I'm very good at swimming, I can say. I can swim up to 2 kilometers. Yeah.
So in one go, 2 kilometers.
One go in 2 hours time, maybe. So I counted that it was about 2 kilometers.
Wow. And where do you go
This
swimming?
was the top result, huh?
Where do you go swimming?
It is Atlantis,
Atlantis.
a big pool with good sauna inside.
Okay. Do you like the pool there? Is it hygienic? I mean, it's a communal pool. Do they clean it regularly?
They clean it. They try to clean it, filter out the water, but I don't think it is more hygienic than expect because they change the water every 3-4 months, I think. Yeah.
Right. Swimming is a great exercise. I should take up swimming too.
It's really great. It's really great, yeah.
I want to do it for my back hernia. I have back.
It helps you. It helps you a lot because you have to be straight all the time when you're swimming. Your legs, for example, your arms, your body should be straight when you're swimming. It has rules. You have to learn them. You have to just try it. It's very helpful.
Well, before I do that, I need to learn how to swim. I don't still know how to swim. Yeah.
So can you swim?
No, I don't.
You don't know.
No, I don't know. I'm going to learn how to swim
But it's
first.
very deep, So it's about just 2.5 meters maybe in the middle of the pool.
I'm going to bring with me safety balloon. One of those safety
You can wear a life jacket for the first 2 or 3 days.
Or life jacket, like one of those kids.
Yeah.
Right.
But it won't take a long time, I think. And the other time for my recreation, I'm trying to go abroad now. So 3-4 times a year, I'm trying to go to some country that I love, that I wish just I would go all my life. I like traveling.
Right. And what's one country you'd like to visit next?
Europe.
Europe. You want to go to Europe?
Yeah, I
Which
want to
country
travel around.
specifically? All around Europe.
Um, I want to go to England, but the first place I want to visit is Switzerland because of the nature, because of the mountains. So I love it very much, you know.
Okay, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Can you come? Can I come with you?
Yes, why not?
Yeah, yeah.
Join.
I mean, I'd love to go on a trip with you, on a long trip with Jurayev teacher. Would just
Yeah, why
go
not?
around Europe
Why
and
not?
do some sightseeing.
Why
Right.
not?
So, on the final chapter of the podcast, we have a set of 3 questions we give to all our guests, and we can keep this part short or as lengthy as you want.
Okay.
So, questions are the same for all guests, and just going to be quick with them. So, first question I would like to ask is, how would you define your personal philosophy in just a few words?
That's all to keep balance uh, between your private life and the work you do. If there is no balance, if you break it, for example, you may get tired easily, you may get irritated easily. I think that there needs to be a balance between the two things. And when I see Alisher, for example, working hard, and you, for example, working hard, I try to explain that you have to keep a balance between your personal life and your work. Another thing is to work with more preciseness and with more quality, because if whatever you do is without equality, if you're not sure that you're giving quality education, if you're just spending your time without quality, so it upsets you one day anyway. So and that's why I think that everything that you do is to be with good quality, with high quality.
Right. And what's something you would tell your younger self if you could like go back in time and talk to your 15, 16-year-old self back in the Turkish Lyceum? What's something you would tell him?
I would say to be patient, because I don't see this patience in the young today. Or sometimes I see the students getting higher scores like 8, 8.5, and they stop there. They think that they have achieved everything in life, which is not correct. I would suggest them. I would suggest they shouldn't stop there. The other 4 years are more important. But if they drop everything and work, for example, and make some money, but anyway, they're not going to be rich. I haven't heard any student just who became rich, you know. But they're wasting their precious time in 4 years. If they have achieved and got 8, 8.5 in 1 year time, so they can learn 4 other languages at that level, because they have the capacity, they have proved it. Um, they can learn dozens of skills, which are more important now. And then they come, for example, after university and say and complain about the lack of work, shortage of, for example, occupations, right? And I say, how did you spend your 4 years? They say, I worked. I studied, I worked to provide myself. That's why I get upset when students come with empty minds, I would say, after 4 years. But they were great students in their time. They got 8, 8.5. You know, this is what I suggest the students. They should stop working if it doesn't just bring them an advantage. It might bring them advantage if they work by their specialty. Like, for example, if you're going to be a teacher in the future, you can just work in a school and gain more and more experience. But if you're going to be for example, accountant, but you choose to work in a school for some time, it won't help you. That's why I think that we have to learn. We shouldn't stop learning in those years as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, assuming this podcast is going to be watched by your future self, I'm hoping you're going to watch this podcast when it comes out, or maybe like 10, 20 years later, if you want to reminisce good old days. So, what's something you would tell your future self and he's watching you right now. Is this camera rolling? It's rolling, so you can talk to your future self right now.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to say anything.
Um, I don't know, because with time you gain more experience. Maybe something that I should have told today will be reminded in 30 years' time. I remember, I might just regret not saying some of the other things to you in your podcast. There are lots of things that I wish I could see in the young children. Like, I'd like them to grasp some of the world knowledge about general knowledge. They're losing their encyclopedic knowledge, you know. They're not reading a lot. And if it continues, I would say that in 30 years' time, I'd regret that I should have said this, you know, because I see many children, they have lost the values, the treasures written by the poets, by the writers, you know. The books by Alisher Nawai, the books by Abdul Qadri, the books by Tohar Malik, and many others, Said Ahmad. They have lost their values because no one is reading these books. And you know, you cannot imagine what a benefit can a student get if they read a lot. And also, when I go to the bookstore, for example, I can see lots of books designated for the kids, just designed for them to read. But they're not reading them, you know. There are lots of encyclopedias in all fields that they have to experience, they have to read more about it. And I would have regretted not saying these things after the podcast, you know, because we have to make sure that the students are being occupied all the time. If not, the telephone takes over everything. It takes over all the values that we're going to lose, that are on the brink of disappearance, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. The future, hope the future is going to be bright. Hope our kids will take a cue from this podcast and do the right thing and spend more time learning, exploring, and getting better in life. Right? Not just be obsessed with their phones and other distractions. Yeah.
But the distractions of the past were different, you know. But today's distraction is only with their telephone. The telephone has taken over all the distractions that were useful in the past. They were healthy in the past. The kids in the past flew kites. They played hide and seek, you know. They played football, volleyball, everything. They had lots of friends. They had better communication skills. They solved the problems themselves without depending on ChatGPT. But today, the young, they put down everything they cannot just solve and get them solved by the ChatGPT, which kills their creativity, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are lots of things we can just discuss about what's happening on now.
But I really hope as long as like we keep showing up to work and just pushing, future is going to be bright. We have to make an effort. We have to make sure the future is bright.
We have to think of other ideas, I think, yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. I thank you a lot for coming on the podcast today. It was a pleasure talking to you today. I cannot thank you enough. And I hope to see you on the podcast more in the future and talk about other different topics and spend some more quality time. So, do you have any other comments you want to make before we end this shoot?
No, everything
All
is
right,
good.
good.
Thank you very much. My pleasure was to be here.
Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you liked our content, please don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel and leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.